Do you have one radiator that doesn't have a thermostatic radiator valve on it? It just has the old type valve? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the few easy and quick steps that you can follow along at home to change over your old radiator valve for a new Swish thermostatic radiator valve. I'll also show you how to upgrade your radiator to being fully integrated with your app online and being controlled via the internet by installing a Tado radiator valve on it as well. So don't go anywhere, guys. Let's go with part one. For this job, you are going to probably need a set of grips, an adjustable spanner, one of these very handy Rothenberger beasts here. These are absolutely brilliant. They kind of, well, you'll see why in a minute. I'll be using that in a sec. A decent hose pipe, your new thermostatic valve, some inhibitor to top up the system, some thread seal. I use Loctite 55, but you can use PTFE if you like. And also, it's handy to have a little paint scuttle like this, and also a towel as well. The method we're going to use to make sure that there isn't loads of water coming out when we break into our radiator valve is we're going to pull a vacuum. It's very easy to do, especially if you've got a pressurized system. Basically, all we need to do is turn the whole heating system off, pop a hose on the nearest drain off cock to where you're working, and then open that up, and then with any luck you've dropped the pressure out, you can shut the drain cock, and then you can actually successfully work on the radiator. If you've got a gravity fed system whereby you've got a large black and a small black tank in the loft, the small tank's going to need the outlet shut off, and also the pipe that goes into the top of that, we call that the crook. It's basically the vent and expansion pipe. That's going to need a bung on there as well. Usually it's in 22mm, so just get yourself a 22mm push fit, shove that over there, then do the same thing as what we do with the pressurized system. Pop a hose on the drain cock, throw that outside and drop the pressure out and pull the vacuum. I've got a pressurized system here, which is just the same as what you get on most combi boilers, but also most modern heating systems in the UK now tend to have pressurized systems, so we're going to do that now. I'm just going to use my Tado app to make sure that the whole heating system's off. As you can see, everything there is off. So we're all good to go. If you've got an old school time clock, make sure that's turned off, and also make sure all the thermostats in the house are turned down as well. And that includes the thermostat on the side of the hot water tank, should you have an indirect hot water system. I'll tell you what, there's a lot to learn in the world of plumbing. Make sure you know which is the flow and return. This is the flow end on this radiator. So that means on this side here, we've got a lock shield, and I just want to turn this lock shield off. So then we're only working with live water on one side. So I'm just switching that off now. It's an old school one there. You will usually use a set of adjustables on yours. It probably won't have this sort of Allen key jobby going on. Dearie me. Little tip, if you're working with drain offs, it's sometimes a good idea just to pop something down like that ready, because they do leak. Pop the hose on there. Hose is a little bit kinked, but that should be okay. And now what we're doing on a pressurised system, we haven't even been up in the loft or near the boiler yet, aside from to turn it off. We're now just dropping the pressure out of the system. There we go. And as I said, water's coming out, it always does. I think I've known one of these not leak. One thing I recommend you do before you get started with doing anything else is actually getting your radiator valves ready to go on, okay? Now, because we're doing kind of a snatch here, with any luck, you're only going to need to get one of these ready, because the bottom connection to the old radiator valve should just be a standard compression fitting, even if the nut looks a little bit different. You're best off trying to use the old nut and the old olive with a nice little bit of jointing compound on there to make sure that it doesn't leak. So what I'm going to do before we get started is just get this thread ready, okay? Get this thread ready and get all the tools that I need to do this job near to the radiator. So I use Loctite 55, if I could say it, Loctite 55. But anyway, I put it on here just like this. I kind of cross it over a few times and get it on there just like that. So that's all ready to go on. But you can use PTFE if you like. It's no big deal, okay? The reason I'm going to have to change this is because the insert that we've got for the old radiator valve is an old type insert. And in a minute, I'll be able to show them next to each other so you can see the difference. And maybe you're going to be able to know before you even do this job that you might have to change the insert. Often, you don't need to do the insert bit. You only need to slack off 2 nuts, whip out the old valve, pop the new one on, manhandle it in there, nip up those nuts, and that's it, you're done. But this is the most complicated version of it. Hopefully it's the version you won't have to do, but it's handy for you to know how to do it anyway. So we're draining down a little bit now. Just going to get this bit of towel out of the way. And now we're just going to wait until we don't hear that noise anymore. We're just waiting to hear that noise slow up. That kind of hissy noise that you can probably hear. gotten that to slow right down, you can't really hear water rushing out anymore, we can actually shut the drain cock off. So what we can do, we can actually just test to see how much water is going to come flying out. So that's what water we're going to get coming out of the radiator. Not too bad, is it? It's not the worst thing ever in the whole wide world. And this is how much, when we open this valve up, how much we're going to get out of the system. So a little bit more there from the system side of things. So a little bit there to worry about. Now, if I wasn't filming this, I would actually just change this over right now. I'm quite happy to sort of do this. But I would like for you, if you're a novice, to actually wait a little bit longer. This side's fine. I'm happy to deal with that. That's perfect. But this side here, that's going to need a little bit of work. Okay, so you know what? That isn't too bad. No, I think we're ready. Okay, so we've got this valve shut, so we can just lift that up out of the way. Now we've got a radiator insert here that we need to take out because it doesn't fit our new radiator for the TRV. So I'm just going to pop this on like so, and then I can just lift this up and we can just start taking this out. We'll get our piece that we got ready just a few minutes ago, ready to go in. So there we go, and look, I've got loads of time. Just pop that on there. So it's not on properly at the moment. I've got my finger over the air, just trying to sort of make sure we don't lose loads of water. Plenty of time, guys. Just going to take this off now. You can pop that over here, ready for in a second. I could even, if you really want, put that on there like that, and it's going to slowly start to stop water coming out. I'm just trying to show you that we do have time, okay? I'm going to wind that in a little bit more. I'm very lucky actually, the pipe at the back of here does move a little bit. Sometimes you won't have that option. Just going to grab the nut at the back like this. I'm just going to grab the top of it with my set of grips. We've just broken it there, that's broken now. Get to a point where you're not happy, just stop and do it up again. But look, I can just put my finger over the edge of that now. There's no actual pressure on here. I'm just going to pop this off, and I just want to you see this, the fluid motion in which we do it. I'm just going to pop my finger on here like so. And then you should be able to buy yourself the distance you need just to get this on like so. And there we go, we're in. All we need to do is just get this nipped up, get the thread started on that. This has been a bit of a squirter. Never thought I'd say that on Plumber Parts. And there we go, all done. So look guys, here's the new insert. This is like the standard modern size insert. And here is the old type insert that uses what we call that uses a tapered union on the end there to make its connection. As you can see, it's got two little cutouts in there and the lugs, so we can get that all tightened up and on. But that's how we do that pretty much. Now all we need to do is pop our TRV head on and set it up. Now be aware, always turn these to max when you do these. Have it facing the way you want it. Just make sure, because they've got such a small little area to go on these ones out. There you go, that's going on now. I always just wiggle the top while I'm doing the bottom. And I want this to get to 21 degrees in this part of the house. The number here correlates to the temperature in the room, not the temperature of the radiator. Now that we're done with all that, we reinstate the radiator at the other end, making sure we pop the lock shield back to where it was earlier on. So there you go, that's how you take off an old lock shield or make a radiator that hasn't got a thermostatic valve on it, have a thermostatic valve. I am now going to install this Tado valve. Tado valves are brilliant. They allow me to use the app that I showed you earlier on to turn on and off my heating from my phone wherever I am in the world, but also they have a very, very big advantage whereby they turn the radiators on and off in a much more tightly controlled way according to the room temperature, but also allows you to zone off each room in the house without having to do massive alterations to pipework. I'm really lucky that we've got a very common type of TRV here, so I'm going to be able to whip the head off and just screw this on, get it linked up to my app and get it running straight away. So if you do want to get yourself a Tado valve, get them. I've got them all over my house. They're absolutely brilliant. Definitely get a Tado. They're great. That's all I'm going to bloody well say on it, and I'll leave links to that and everything else that I've used in this video in our Amazon store. As soon as you've made sure there's no leaks, it might be a good idea if you've lost quite a lot of water to add some inhibitor to the heating system. This stops the heating system from rusting, it stops any black water, and it stops the system from just getting generally clogged up. It's a bit like a human being constantly eating cheese and smoking fags, which, although enjoyable, isn't really that good for you. And then you can pressurize the system again. If you've got a pressurized heating system, pressurize it to 1 bar when it's cold, then you can pump it up to 1 bar and you'll know that you're okay. Make sure you go around everything, make sure there's no leaks, vent every radiator, then go and check again, pump up to 1 bar, and then you should be able to reinstate the heating system by turning it all on again. If you've got gravity fed, just undo your bungs. Just please remember to take the bung off the vent and expansion pipe, otherwise you might have some serious problems. Don't forget to leave that on there. Just make sure you vent all the radiators in the same way, and that's it, you're done. If you like this video, click on this video here. It's all about the 10 mistakes that people make in plumbing, the 10 most common mistakes that I come across and that I have made myself. So go and check it out. I hope you enjoyed the video, subscribe, and if I've helped you out, please think about donating as well. Thank you very much.